Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama coffee.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
It's that time again. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! I'm excited.
You just called me in here. You're like, let's point at things.
Yeah.
And now we're pointing at things.
Things.
You didn't say anything about a podcast.
Well, too bad. We're doing it. It is episode 65 for those of you guys keeping track at home. We are knee-deep in March right now, which is kind of fun. I am slightly under the weather because of allergy season now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so I have no idea what that's like. It must be awful.
It's every time around this time of year, it's just like I'm just up for a couple nights just sneezing and just it's the worst.
Huh.
So, yeah. That was last night. So
Oh, fun.
I'm dealing with that, but we're gonna bring a great show to you guys anyways. As always, I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man.
It's that easy. Please give us a follow over on social media. We are very frequent on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, but very, very frequent on Instagram. You can actually get a couple sneak peeks from your Instagram.
Yeah,
a lot.
I like spoilers.
Yeah,
I like spilling the beans.
So it's super easy to follow us. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
And I am at Death Wish Dustin.
It's that easy. I want to throw it out to a couple of our friendly podcast people out there that are friends of ours. One that we talked about on last week's show that I want to give another shout out to because they've been killing it. They're actually doing Facebook Live now, which is awesome. Mr. Throwback Thursday, that's right.
Oh, that's awesome. He's doing Facebook Live.
Well,
now.
they were doing YouTube Live, and I really like YouTube Live's program. The interface is way nicer than Facebook Live, but nobody watches it.
Yeah, I was about
Because
to say,
the thing is so many people, myself included, lurk on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I have 2 different YouTube accounts, including the company account, so I have 3 different accounts that I could be on, but half the time I'm not even signed in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just on YouTube, so it's like you're not getting a notification, you're not getting, whereas with Facebook, you're going to get that notification.
And you're always on Facebook and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Talking
so it's
to
a little
me,
bit
Mom.
better. I mean, it's a trade-off, but if you guys are fans of hip-hop, go on over to Mr. Throwback Thursday. Subscribe to them on iTunes or anywhere where podcasts are found. It is the best, the best, the best. Also, a good friend of ours who was on this show a handful of episodes ago, Thomas Davis, America's canine educator, just started his own podcast. We actually talked about him starting that up when he was on the show, which was great. And now he's doing it. There he is.
It's a no-brainer. The dude has so much knowledge, and he needs to get it out there. And there's no better way to do it than podcasts, which is why we're celebrating them right now.
Yeah. His podcast is called No Bad Dogs. Again, you can find it everywhere podcasts are found, including YouTube. He does video as well as audio, just like us. And it's all about dogs and their owners and, the intricacies between the two. And it's really, really informative and interesting. He's just getting off the ground. He's only got a handful of episodes out. So definitely go give him a like, go subscribe, go give him some stars on iTunes, that whole nine.
All the stars.
And in the same vein, but not really, Dog Life Radio is another podcast, friends of ours, that actually we've been sponsoring for a little bit now. Really fun guy. Rossi over there does a podcast every week about health and fitness. And one of the things that he says is that, and you just wrote a blog about this actually, is that coffee is very good towards your health and fitness. Mm-hmm. It's like a tool that you use just like your weights or, your whatever. Coffee is one of those tools. And so he talks a lot about that. And so now we're feeding his podcast with a little bit of coffee. So that's it's all good. Again, go find him wherever podcasts are found. We cannot not start this show, though, without thanking our good friend, Brock Powell.
BrockVox.com.
That's right. He is the voice actor behind all the awesome voices on this show and 1,000 other voices out there. He also has his own podcast, speaking of podcasts, Unpop Podcast. Him and his buddies, they basically have unpopular opinions about some movies that you probably like and they don't. And they're really funny when they break them down. So go check those guys out, and we love Brock. And we also love Blackmagic Design. Blackmagic Design is the company that makes all the tech that we use on this show to make this video portion of the show look as good as it does.
I mean, I'm starting to see a lot more podcasts on Facebook Live now. I'd
Yeah.
like to think that we started a trend here, but, I you didn't really see anybody doing it before we were doing it, but I think it's because that technology's just getting there.
Yeah.
With companies like Blackmagic Design and maybe only Blackmagic Design. It's very difficult to get a good-looking video on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And these guys really nailed it down.
They really
We're
do.
just starting to see it more. I saw it with an MMA podcast recently, and man, they had all the camera angles. It looked really, really nice.
The thing about it is I've always said this, even back to when Dustin and I used to be in bands together. If you're going to create anything, whether you're going to publish an ebook or you're going to make a podcast or you're going to write an album or something like that, an adage I always had was no corner of the internet should be safe from your creation, ever. It can get a little bit crazy if you start just putting it out there and not curating what you're putting out there and just letting it kind of hang, because then you're not updating it, and that's not a good thing. But there's not one right way. It's not like you should just start a podcast and do Facebook Live or just start a podcast and be on SoundCloud or something like that. You should be everywhere. I mean, that's what we try to do. We try to be as accessible as we possibly can.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
Oh, man, we're bringing a code back for the
Yeah,
first time.
for the
I'm
first
so
time.
excited about it. So this week, if you type in the word Wyclef, Jeff.
WYCLEF.
That will get you 15% off of the new era hats that we have in our web store right there. 15% off's a pretty damn good deal. Look at that. It's a beautiful hat.
It is a beautiful hat.
Jeff, tell them why it's Wyclef.
Because for the first time in the history of the show, we finally got somebody on for the second time, not including our good friend Ming Chen, who seems to be on every time we go out on the road to a convention. Ming Chen will always hold the candle to have being on this show, I think, more than anyone.
Yeah.
But as an official guest on the show for the second time, we've got Wyclef Jean, and we're really excited. He happened to play right in our own backyard. We got to go hang out with them before the show at the Putnam Place in Saratoga Springs, New York. And man, we had such a good time. The first episode, if you haven't seen that episode, I'll put a link up right here. You can go check out that episode when this episode is done. We had such a good time that first time talking when I saw he was coming right to play near us. I was like, would you like to do it again? And he jumped at it. It was just like, of course I would. And we talk about some brand new stuff he's doing, including a mixtape idea called Wyclef Goes Back to School. You guys do not want to miss this episode tomorrow. It's gonna be some game-changing stuff that Wyclef is doing. And he was just so nice to sit down with us and talk to us. And we've got a sneak peek for you of tomorrow's episode right here.
The Fueled by Death guest.
I mean, you just dropped a new single, which is awesome, by the way.
Suck up fat.
Yeah. And I got to ask, you come out with a record like Carnival 3, and you're going on the road with it. And then on the heels of that, now you've got a brand new project in the works, kicking off with this single. Do you have material just laying in the wings, or are you writing on the road?
Man, it's hard to explain, but the best way to explain it is music is like drinking water.
Okay.
So I had an idea called, because when people was like, yo, the kids are putting 4 or 5 mixtapes out every 3 or 4 months. When I was on Sony, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, yo, why can't I put out a hip hop album, a jazz album, a reggae album? And they was like, no, everything has to be formatted and structured. That's why I love this time period. So basically, I had the idea of Wyclef Goes Back to School, which would be the next mixtape. And then there was a young man by the name of Kofi, Kofi Black. So we had connected through Sus1. I was doing an interview, and then we was supposed to get in the studio and just work. But I was on the road. I was moving. He was moving. And then one day I have 4 days off.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I got a hold of Kofi. That's Kofi. And I was like, yo, let's come and catch a vibe. I literally kid you not. We went in the studio and have came up with an entire mixtape in like 4 days.
Wow.
So once again, like music, right? When it breeds like the right energy, because it's supposed to, like, when you hear Suck Up Fat, you're like, man, this just makes me feel good. I don't know.
Yep.
And that's what music is really supposed to do. And I think sometimes we forget that,
Science!
All right, D-Man. So science this week goes way back into the history of the world, thousands of years into our past. And I love archaeological stuff like this. I found this actually in a science journal this week, and it's one of those things that is very kind of, the headline's kind of just normal, and then when you really start to dig into it, it really blows your mind. There has been cave art found in some caves in Italy that dates farther than earliest humans.
Huh.
Now,
What's it doing in Italy?
exactly, and that's where it's long been thought that the Neanderthal
I was wondering how you're going to say that.
Neanderthal were very primitive. They weren't human-like at all. You've probably heard of the missing link, that there's the Neanderthal that went to a specific point in history, and then out of the blue came the modern humanoid human, and that's what we know of as that we're living in caves, starting agriculture, and drawing on the caves. You know what I mean? That's what we've always known. This takes and turns everything on its head, and this is crazy. 3 cave sites on the Iberian Peninsula in Italy have drawings that date back older than 64,000 years ago. That's 20,000 years older than the arrival of the first modern humans in Europe. So that means it has to be Neanderthal. It has to be. There's an incredible quote, actually, from lead author Dr. Dirk Hoffman from the Max Planck Institute of Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany, and he says, the emergence of symbolic material culture represents a fundamental threshold in the evolution of humankind. It's one of the main pillars of what makes us human. Artifacts whose functional value lies not so much in their practical, but rather in their symbolic use, are proxies for fundamental aspects of human cognition as we know it. And that makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because when we find early human or Neanderthal tools like a spearhead or a pick or something like that, that actually had a function. That was that directly affected their survival.
Yeah.
A cave painting doesn't.
Yeah.
A cave painting is literally the first time us as a species ever expressed ourselves. Just literally taking, a hand and putting it in pigment and then putting it on a cave wall,
I wonder, do you think it was out of sheer boredom, like, oh, here's a thing, I smear it on the wall, that makes something cool, or do you think they were trying to convey a message? Right,
I think they were. I think it's ingrained in us as a species that we, again, are fueled by death and we want to leave our mark on this world. And I think that even Neanderthals saw the ability that I can leave a mark that'll stay there. In this cave, the rain's not going to hit it, the sun's not going to bleach it, and it's going to stay there so my kids and my kids' kids will see it, and they'll know that I've made that mark.
I wonder if they came to that realization as they were doing it, or maybe, later on after ancestors had passed, but their marks had remained, that they thought of it as a way to live further than their lifespan.
Maybe. I don't know if we'll ever know that answer.
I know. It's just crazy to think about their mindset as they were doing it. The first humanoid type being to create something other than a tool for survival.
Right. And if you see this photo that I have...
I'm sorry. If you think about it, this is a tool for survival.
Ish, but it's not directly of
in fact, it's a tool for immortality.
Correct, but it's not directly affecting if they're going to live through the next night. You know what I mean?
But it might. What if it's instructions on how to build a fire?
Maybe.
Or instructions on how to hunt a tiger?
Maybe. This is even more primitive than that. We're finding dots, we're finding line structures, and we're finding handprints. And if you can see in this photo right here, there is that handprint right there in the bottom right. Oh, wow. And it's pretty interesting. Now, the way we're figuring this out is a brand new science of being able to date this. And what it is, it's called uranium-thorium dating. It's only shown up in science in the last 20 years, and it's never been used to this effect before.
Oh, so it's like it's taking place of carbon dating, because there's a lot of holes in carbon dating.
Correct. And there's holes in this, too. In fact, there are 2 camps of scientists out there who are saying that this is giving us good data or it's giving us completely wrong data. And that's normal with new sciences. Yeah. But I do have a video to show you guys that kind of explains this a little bit more and the process that they're going.
This is Monte Castillo in Cantabria. It is home to UNESCO World Heritage Site of prehistoric cave art in northern Spain. This is section C of La Pasiega Cave. Our international team of researchers found that paintings in La Pasiega are at least 64,000 years old and therefore must have been made by Neanderthals. There are many symbolic red paintings on the wall, like lines or dots. There are also animal paintings or geometric figures. Please note the white dots you can see everywhere on the cave wall and sometimes also on the paintings. The white dots are calcite. It precipitates from water that comes through tiny fissures in the cave wall. We carefully inspect such calcite formations, whether they indeed formed on top of paintings like here on a red line. If so, we use a scalpel to remove dust from the surface and check consistency of the calcite. We then scrape calcite directly into a pre-cleaned tube. Of course, we need good lights, magnifying lenses and steady hands for this job. We frequently check the surface of the calcite with a microscope to make sure that we do not touch the art itself. We stop sampling before all calcite is removed to ensure integrity of the art. We finally have samples of calcite which formed on top of cave art. If we can find out how long ago this calcite formed, we have a minimum age for the art. To determine the age of the calcite, we bring the samples to a laboratory like we have here at the Max Planck Institute in Leipzig. Here we can analyze the calcite for traces of uranium in it and also its decay product thorium. The amount of uranium and thorium in the samples is so small, we need an extremely clean laboratory to prepare the samples and measure them with a mass spectrometer. The samples are also very small, usually a size smaller than a grain of rice. Here we dissolve the sample with acid and then use specific resins to separate uranium and thorium from all the other elements in the solution. We measure uranium and thorium isotopes in our solutions. All thorium we find today in the sample is a result of radioactive decay of uranium. We measure how much uranium and thorium there is, and we know the radioactive decay constants. With this we can calculate how much time was needed to get this much thorium. And this is the age of the calcite. And the art under the calcite is older. This way we found that the left red vertical line of this painting is older than 64,000 years.
So that's what happens when I research science and I'm on antihistamines. It's not Italy, it's Spain. I got that wrong in my notes, and I do apologize for that. But it is really interesting, and that process is what is coming under fire because they haven't really utilized it in this sense before because of the ability that it can deface the rock wall.
Right.
It can hurt the art, but they're just using it on the calcite. But some scientists say that the calcite grows in different ways than just straight through the years kind of thing. Like there are like ebbs and flows of it. So some scientists are saying that you could be getting a wrong idea by saying, oh, it's 64,000 years old.
But it has to be older. That's
Right.
what they're saying. It's not that it's 64,000 years. It's that this calcite
Yeah.
formed at least 64,000 years ago. Therefore, the painting that's under it, I mean, it could be 80,000
It could be, yeah. And all three caves that they found these in contain red, ochre, and black paintings of groups of animals, dots, geometric signs, as well as hand stencils, handprints, and engravings. And what's really, really, really interesting about that is creating the art. This is what you have to think about. Creating the art must have involved such sophisticated behavior as choosing of a location, planning of a light source, mixing of pigments, and then applying that to the wall. This is what the team has said. And that is true. It's not just a Neanderthal walking into this cave and putting his hand in some red stuff and putting it on the wall. He has to find that red stuff. He has to then find a spot in the cave that has enough light source that he knows what he's doing.
It's still there.
Right. And then where they found these in these caves aren't just random occurrences. They've found signs of early life in these areas. So these are populated areas of Neanderthal and early human. So there are significance of why they're in these caves. It's not just, again, a early human or a Neanderthal just walking into a random cave and putting a handprint on a wall.
So this is the earliest markings
that we've found, cave paintings that we've found. Correct.
Huh.
Yeah. In Northern Europe. And that's what's so interesting, because we know through carbon dating and through archaeology that we know exactly when modern humans migrated to Europe from Asia and from Africa. And that was 34,000 years ago or 44,000 years ago, not 64,000 years ago. So this definitely puts some stuff on its ear. You know, it's interesting when we find stuff like this, and it's hotly debated on either side. You have scientists saying this is actual, these results are real, and other scientists saying, you know, we need to do more stuff, but at least everybody's looking at it.
Well, it's crazy how much resistance that you'll get when these dates are moved, because there's been some scientists that have been teaching it their way,
right,
for hundreds of years.
Right.
And now they're finding out that what they've been teaching is actually wrong. And I think we need to have more of an open mind to deal with these types of situations. Was it John Anthony West dealt with a lot of blowback when he redated the Sphinx?
Oh, right. Yes.
Was it John Anthony? It was a mix of him and
I'm going to get the name wrong, but
Graham
I know what
Hancock.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, when they redated it.
And pretty much they were finding waterware on the Sphinx that alone pushes the date back because of the
At least the
presence
date of the base.
of a rainforest
Yeah.
in Egypt,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And when they came out with this information, the resistance from the scientific group was just through the roof, because nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be telling their students that, hey, you know, that thing that I've been teaching you forever, that's wrong. I think we just need to have more of an open mind when it comes to this stuff.
Well, what this is going to at least prove is how uranium-thorium dating can be used in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to do this, so we're going to get teams of scientists now trying to perfect this way of thinking, you know, not a carbon dating, this kind of dating, and it'll only get better, and the results will only get dialed in even more.
And I'll tell you what, there's going to be another method to do this later on down the road. Our technology is going to get better.
Lasers.
And seriously, it's going to come down to lasers. And when that happens, we'll deal with more resistance.
Yeah.
And I just think there needs to be a better mindset in scientific teaching, that maybe just kind of a thought that knowing that what you're teaching might change.
Yeah.
Tomorrow there might be new technology, and that's okay that you were wrong. You're teaching the best known knowledge that you have up to this date. And that could change at any point.
Yes.
That's all I think about that.
What fuels you?
All right, so this week on What Fuels You, before we get into it, you guys are bearing with me. I'm a little fuzzy, forgetting things, doing some stuff. One thing we forgot, share this episode.
Oh, my God.
Comment, share it in the comments. And we're giving away a Valhalla Java mug. This mug right now, as I'm speaking to you right now, is sold out on the site. That does not mean it's going to be sold out forever.
No,
this is our yearly mug.
We're getting restock early April.
Yep. Yeah. It happens. You guys, when we came out with this, you loved it so much, you cleaned out the initial stock we had, and that's awesome. That's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
So Nina's making a ton more, and we'll have them early April. And but we got one. We got one right here, and you can win it today. All you got to do is share this feed, comment, share it in those comments, and we're gonna pick a winner at the end of the show, and we're gonna send that out to you.
I can't believe we forgot it, Jeff.
There
must be something wrong with me too, because
I think my fuzziness must be kind of morphing over to this side of the table. I don't know.
I got no excuse. I mean,
it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But back to what fuels you this week. We did get to talk to Wyclef Jean yet again, and it was really cool to have him on for a second time, because if you guys are fans of the podcast, you know we have a formula. We really like to delve into whoever we're talking to. We like to delve into why they do the thing they do, and then inevitably get to the question of what fuels them to continue to do that thing. Like, that is the name of the game when it comes to Fueled by Deathcast, the podcast. And having Wyclef on for a second time, we didn't have to do that. We've go back and listen to that first episode. That's all in that first episode. So we got to have a bigger conversation, and we started talking about this new project that he's kind of just starting up, and it's this mixtape idea where he's going to start going around to colleges around the nation and looking for talent to feature on a mixtape. And we, again, don't miss tomorrow's episode. It's really, really interesting of what he's doing. But it got me thinking, Wyclef is kind of a legend in this music industry.
Not kind of. He is a legend.
Yeah, I mean, he is a Grammy-winning musician, rapper, producer. He's worked with some of the greatest people in the business, including, creating stuff for himself, but for other people.
Carlos Santana, Shakira.
Yeah.
The you name
the
it.
Fugees.
The Fugees.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been listening to it all day. It's so good.
Yeah. He's already someone who's in the game and has changed the game for the better. But now he's thinking outside of the box. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring towards What Fuels You this week, is the idea of thinking outside of the box. That is something that is so hard to do. And I want to ask you this, Dustin. Do you think it's something that can be learned? Do you think you can train yourself to think outside of the box? Or is that something that just somebody like Wyclef just has ingrained in themselves?
Well, I think there's a parallel to be drawn here. If there's something that Wyclef has that lends him the superpower of thinking outside the box, it's an open mind. He doesn't have restrictive, resistive thinking that when a new idea is brought up in his mind, he starts thinking of ways that it might be wrong because it doesn't jive with the way that he normally thinks.
Right.
Just like we were talking about with the scientific community.
Right.
The best way to think outside the box is to be open to any idea.
It's true.
And if you have that resistive type of thinking, you're not you're not going to come up with the new next best thing, because that's what it takes. It takes thinking outside the box to do this. Hotel company. I said this to Wyclef, but hotel companies didn't think of Airbnb.
No.
Taxi cab companies didn't think of Uber.
No.
Because of closed-minded thinking. They
Right.
thought that their way was the only way because it works, and if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Get rid of that mentality.
Yeah.
There's always a better way, and it's almost always not the way you're doing it right now.
Yeah. And I mean, you can look at even the titans of industry out there who changed the game by thinking outside the box. Take your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, your Mark Zuckerberg, your Jeff Bezos, your Elon Musk. These guys, that is their job, and they've made billions of dollars literally thinking outside of the box and changing the game.
I think a big part of that is taking your ego out of the equation. Take
Yeah.
that part that where anything is about you, take that out. It's not
I think Steve Jobs had a pretty big ego.
at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I think this is why a lot of people are, not to bring up anything too outside of the box, but this is why I think a lot of these big CEO types experiment with psychedelic drugs.
Oh.
Because it takes them outside of their mind.
Yeah.
And they're no longer thinking of themselves. They're thinking of everything else. They're thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
They're taking that third person perspective instead of a first person perspective. So maybe that's a good start to start thinking outside of the box. Get out of that first person perspective. Get out of that I and me. Get into the we and us.
Yeah.
That's something Wyclef uses all the time. He's all about unity.
Yeah.
He's all about everybody, and he's not just about himself. And I think that's what lends him this style of thinking to, I got to find the next best person. Not
Right.
I'm the next best
Right.
person. It's us, and we just got to exfoliate the talent right to the surface, and then that's how probably he came up with this idea.
I wonder, normally on What Fuels You, we try to touch upon a subject and be like, there's got to be a way that we can get on that mental path and kind of work towards that. And I have a problem, even personally, forcing myself to think outside the box sometimes. You get stuck in a way, or you get, this way works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, get rid of that.
But I think if I were to give advice, I think the best way to figure out how to train yourself to think outside the box is to look at these people who are becoming successful by doing that exact thing. Like there are some great books out there written by Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, these people who are game changers. That like there's great material out there from musicians and athletes and entertainers that have, changed the game in their field because they didn't just fit to that normal idea. And I think maybe the best advice I can give is to find those people that you look up to for doing that and see how they did it. And then that'll kind of maybe switch your brain into thinking that way.
Yeah. I mean, even Death Wish Coffee is a testament to that. It's not somebody inside of Folgers thinking, oh, what we need is a strong coffee line. It took somebody outside of the business.
Right.
You had a coffee shop, but you're talking about one dude who owns a coffee shop that came up with an idea that took over the coffee market world that nobody was doing. No other coffee company was thinking this until Mike Brown was like, nobody's making a strong coffee. I'm going to make a strong coffee. And now what do you see everywhere? You
strong
see
coffee.
Not only all these copycat companies, but you're seeing Folgers come out with Folgers Max.
Yeah.
Which is now they're hopping on the train. But I'll tell you what, they were not the pioneers. They were not the ones to think of it first, and that's why they're going to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, so it might be one of the hardest things to do in life is to think outside the box and to do it consistently, and then to be successful on it might be the hardest thing.
Well, the first step, instead of thinking about yourself, think about the world. Think about everybody. What does everybody want? It's not about what you want. I want this to work good so I can get through the day and get what I need. No, it's about we need this technology to be this because that's what we're all lacking.
Right.
You really need to step outside of yourself. And I'll tell you what, even if you don't come up with the next idea, it's a good way to think. It's a great way to think. So kill the ego. Step outside yourself. Think outside the box. Create the next best thing.
Yes, I like it.
Community shout out.
All righty. Community shout out this week is Instagram user JP King. King with an exclamation point, so it's super.
I thought that was a typo.
Nope, super exciting. I think I got a picture of him. There he is, in a festive spirit for the upcoming St. Patrick's Day, which is right around the corner with his nice red beard and his Rub Me for Luxury. JP King is a Gulf War veteran. He's a painter and an artist and obviously a lover of Death Wish Coffee and also The Walking Dead. So all sorts of things that we love to see out there is something that JP's doing, and that's why we saw you, and that's why you're getting the shout-out this week. And I actually got a little video here, which he dubbed as his weekly Death Wish commercial. He's got a bunch of these on his Instagram.
Oh, boy.
Again, I love it. It's just
can't wait to see it.
It's just him just enjoying the coffee, and that's what we love to see out there, guys.
Good morning and happy Saturday. Oh, Ouija board says yes to. Do I need to be drinking coffee? Well, when my second 5-pound bag of Death Wish coffee has came in the last week or so, I'm thinking yes. So, guess what, folks? It's coffee time! Happy Saturday.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That again, that's why we love to do this little community shout out, because there's so many people out there that enjoy this little product. Like you were just saying that, was just started out as an idea and now is like the height of this guy's morning, so mugs up to you, JP King. Community shout out this week. And as always, we got some birthdays. And they're this week, not last week. We talked about last week's birthdays last week, and next week's birthdays.
What are you getting at, Jeff?
We're going to talk about this week's birthdays.
Jesus, say some birthdays already.
All right. First up, Friday, March 9th. Oscar Isaac is going to be 39 years old. He is an actor. He's also a singer. You probably might remember him from a little movie called Llewellyn Davis. He was in with Justin Timberlake and a couple other people about a folk
Just say it, Jeff.
singer. What?
He's Star Wars, right?
Yes, of course he's Star Wars. He's Poe Dameron in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
He just lit up.
I love him. He's like the new Han Solo. He's just the best.
And he can sing.
And he can sing. So happy birthday to him. What? Who doesn't love Oscar Isaac? I love him.
We knew that one wasn't going to slip under your radar.
Oh, man.
Jeff.
Saturday, March 10th, turning 78 years old, Chuck Norris.
Oh, shit.
There he is. Most famous for being literally Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, literally, that's what he's famous for. But, I mean, he's also famous for his extensive career in the martial arts and also his TV and movie career, including one of the most iconic roles of all time, fighting Bruce Lee in, what was it, the Wake the Dragon? It wasn't Enter the Dragon. It was Enter the Dragon?
Yeah.
Might
Don't
be
throw me
wrong
through
on
that loop. Yeah, he was the boss battle.
Yeah.
I love the part where he rips out his chest hair and he blows it in the wind.
Yeah, that's right. Do you have a favorite Chuck Norris fact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I got a good one.
All right.
First of all, I have to say, out of all the martial arts actors of that time, he is the most legit.
Yeah. For sure.
Because there's a lot of
Like Bruce Lee respected him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude had legit karate.
Yeah.
But he was the first one to bring the Gracies of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to America.
Oh.
He would, in the 80s, he would bring them to teach seminars to his black belts.
Wow.
So they could
I didn't
learn
know this.
jiu-jitsu. So he knew the power of jiu-jitsu almost before anyone else.
Wow.
He definitely knew the power of jiu-jitsu before any other American.
Yeah, I was going to say the Gracies knew.
Yeah, the Gracies knew. A lot of Brazilians knew what was up because they were just smashing everybody.
Yeah.
But he found out early and started bringing the whole Gracie family to America to teach all of his black belts seminars.
Wow.
And you can find footage of that, which is really cool.
That is cool. Maybe
Yeah.
if I can, I'll sing some of that in there.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about actual, funny Chuck Norris facts.
Oh, sorry. I only have the serious stuff. We're talking about one of the best TV martial artists in the world. I don't have any funny facts. I only know that Chuck Norris is a legit badass.
My favorite is Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. That's my favorite. Yeah, nothing from him.
Sorry.
From him. Put your favorite
Chuck Norris is not a joking matter, Jeff.
Put your favorite Chuck Norris fact in the comments, guys. Another happy birthday, Monday, March 12th, to an incredible voice actor, Frank Welker. This guy, literally, he's turning 72 years old. You have heard him your entire life. I guarantee it. He is most known as Fred and Scooby on Scooby-Doo. That is what he's most known for. But here's a picture of this is the tip
I
of
thought that was always Casey Kasem.
Casey was Shaggy. This is just a tip of the iceberg of characters that he's done. He was Brain and Dr. Claw. He was Brain and Dr. Claw on Inspector Gadget. He was most of the Decepticons, including Megatron, on all of the Transformers cartoons in the 80s and 90s. He was a handful of Smurfs. He was the Beagle Brothers from DuckTales. He was the aliens from Mars Attacks. That's Frank Welker.
Is that Underdog?
Yep. He also if you need an animal voice in any kind of animation, any kind of animal sound, you call Frank. That's what you do. He's got such an extensive library of animal sounds. He's done all the animals on The Simpsons, all of the animals on Futurama, including Nibbler.
Wow.
And I mean, go back to Warner Brothers, go back to even some Disney stuff. Like, the list is incredible. Cartoons don't exist without Frank Welker.
Wow.
For sure. So a happy birthday to him on Monday, March 12th. And finally, Monday, March 14th, the incredibly funny Billy Crystal is turning the big 7-0. Billy Crystal, obviously well known as a stand-up comedian, but also TV and movie star. One of my favorite roles is Princess Bride, obviously, but he's been in a ton of stuff. And one movie that doesn't get enough love in this day and age, but still holds up. I just watched it a couple weeks ago. City Slickers with Daniel Stern.
Yeah, I
it's
forgot about
still
that.
fun. Yeah, a lot of people do. It's still a fun movie, but Billy Crystal.
That's
super
okay,
funny.
everybody. You can go back to forgetting City Slickers. You'll be all right. Your day won't change.
Oh, man. Come on, let's get angry about something.
All right.
I smell a roast.
All right, guys. So this weekend, you probably heard on the news or on Twitter or because it was trending all over the place, it was the Oscars. And who cares, right? Who cares about the Oscars? I haven't cared about the Oscars in years. I don't think you've probably cared
The
about
only
the Oscars
Oscars
ever.
I care about is Oscar de la Hoya.
There you go.
It's just
And Oscar Isaac.
who's that?
But I mean, I'm bringing this up because when we really talk about the Oscars, my question is, my roast is, does it matter anymore to win an Oscar? Back in the heyday of Hollywood, back when Tinseltown was a thing and Hollywood was, Hollywood, untouchable, it was the be-all, end-all accolade to win an Oscar. Not only to win an Oscar, to be like you've always heard the adage, it's an honor to be nominated. That's happened back in the 50s and 60s, because it was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're nominating me for this incredibly prestigious award. More people nowadays actually care about arguing about the Oscars on social media than they actually do about the Oscars themselves. More people today, if you just type in hashtag Oscars or look at the feed or stuff like that, it's people yelling about this person should have won or this person lost and they should have won or this person won and they should have lost. It's just it's a constant battle. Does that mean that there is now a disconnect between the movies that we watch and enjoy and the movies that are given this accolade? Do we need an award season like this anymore? Because we have the Screen Actors Guild. That is by the screen actors. Those are the people who are doing it, voting on them, their peers. That's a completely different thing. The Golden Globes, again, voted on by their peers. The Oscars is a bunch of old guys in a smoky room who are old Hollywood voting on the winners of this thing.
I mean, whenever I saw the Oscar winners come out, it was always movies that were like, I didn't really want to watch that anyways. But now that it's been awarded an Oscar, I'm definitely not going to watch it.
Well, but that's a little bit different. A lot of times Oscars will help out the studio more than anything, more than the actor or the director or whoever else. And I wanted to bring up a little bit. One of the things that's famously snubbed in the Oscars is fantasy and sci-fi. I mean, up until Lord of the Rings winning Best Picture in, I think it was 2004.
That's probably why I've never cared about it, because it's
Yeah.
like that's my favorite genre. You just named every favorite movie I've ever watched.
Right, and those are the movies that always win, special effects or sound editing.
And you got to think, those are the movies that shape our future.
Right.
To me, that's the most important.
One of the biggest snubs in the world was when Stanley Kubrick did not win a single Oscar for 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is hailed by everyone as one of the greatest movies ever made, period, in the history of movies, and yet he didn't even win. Kubrick never won an Oscar as a director. How crazy is that?
I mean, listen, Hollywood was built on the backs of gangsters.
It's true.
And I think the Oscars were spawned from that pool of gangsters. And that's
agree.
why you don't have peers voting on this. It's really it's still gangster shit. It's really wherever they want to shoot the money towards, they're going to do that, not what people actually want to see or hear.
So I dug a little bit on this because I was curious. And this year, speaking on sci-fi and fantasy, it actually broke the mold. And Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water actually won Best Picture. He also won Best Director. Which, a lot of people are very excited about. I have yet to see this movie. Have you seen the movie yet?
No, I do actually want to see it.
I do want to see it. I'm a big Del Toro fan.
Yep.
But one of the things I'm bringing up is, does this will obviously translate into more sales for this movie. That always happens. Any movie that's nominated for Best Picture for an Oscar immediately gets more sales. And then obviously if it wins, obviously gets more sales. You know what I mean? So people like myself are going to go seek this movie out and watch it now. Oh, it won Best Picture Oscar. I better sit down and watch it. But does this actually help Del Toro at all? He literally has been snubbed for some incredible movies in the past. Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, The Devil's Backbone, all movies that were fantasy, horror, that type of thing, and yet nothing. Yet now he does a romantic movie about a girl falling in love with a fish, man, And, you know, it's old school Hollywood. It does harken back to that old school Hollywood story.
Yeah.
So that's why he's got that. But does that mean anything for him? It's now later in his career. Is it going to be to the point where Del Toro is going to find success from having that little golden statue? I don't think so. I think he's going to still be on the same track that he's always been on, make the movies that he wants to make. Maybe he'll make a little bit more of a pay raise, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if the Oscars are worth it, and that's what I'm roasting. Another winner of this year's Oscars, which everybody's excited for, is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele became the first black screenwriter to win an Academy Award.
Did you watch
ever.
that movie?
I have not.
Oh, it's super good.
I heard this from every single person who's seen this. Now, again, this will be another movie I sit down and watch. If you don't know the movie, it's Get Out.
It's super good.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job.
He actually said in his speech that he stopped writing it 20 different times because he never thought it was impossible to make. And he finally went back to doing it, and thank God he did because he won an Oscar for it.
Yeah,
and broke the mold for it. But is that going to help Jordan Peele? It might. His career is very early. You know, I mean, Key and Peele he had that success from that show, and you know they did the movie Keanu. That was just a fun little romp kind of R-rated thing, and now he's got an Oscar for this. So I'm sure Hollywood will be looking for him to write his next screenplay, which he said he already has in the works. Whether or not that's going to translate into money or success for him,
I think it does.
I don't know.
Especially since he's the first. That's big.
Best actor and actresses. Those awards are constantly panned and constantly given out to people that it seems to just fall on deaf ears. This year, Best Actor went to Gary Oldman. Great. That dude is an incredible actor, and he got it. But I mean, this is a man who's had a career that includes Sid and Nancy, The Firm, JFK, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and no recognition for any of that. And now he wins an Oscar.
For what? For what movie?
I'm blanking on it. You're asking the fuzzy allergy guy here. I'm blanking on it. Write it in the comments. But what I'm getting at is that what is that going to do for his career? Does that help his career? Does Gary Oldman now get a better shake? Best Actress this year was Frances McDormand. She is now a 2-time Best Actress winner. She won back in 1996 for Fargo, and it's been since then that she's now won her second one, and that was for that 3 Billboards movie. I know that's what she was in. But she's been in tons of movies, including Raising Arizona and again, Fargo. I don't know how much this translates to, like, back in the heyday, if you won an Oscar, it's like you're the most sought-after person in Hollywood at this point. You know what I mean? Is that even the thing? I looked it up, and statistically speaking, this is out there, men make more than women in Hollywood, and they definitely get a bigger pay raise once they win an Oscar. A Best Actor will get upwards of 86% of a pay raise on their next movie, whereas a woman, and the Best Actress award, will get only 36%.
Wow. Huh. Interesting.
And it's pretty sad. But the nomination itself is what makes the money. The nomination, if you're nominated, no matter what it is, sound editing, best key grip, whatever the hell it is, you can then write that on the DVD and the Blu-ray packaging forever. And then that helps the studio gain more sales.
It just seems so pompous. It seems so... I mean, it's just the sniff your own fart competition.
Right.
You know, it doesn't seem like it's a real accolade anymore. It just seems like it's so watered down, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't think it means like
you
what it
smell
used to.
your own farts the best. These lists of names here. Casey Affleck smells his best at smelling his own farts. Leonardo DiCaprio, he is really good at smelling his own farts.
And you're going through, I just wanted to go through the last 4 years, the Best Actor and Actress. It's a list of names that either you go, okay, or literally it's not an accolade that comes off. Last year, Casey Affleck and Emma Stone, actor and actress. The year before, DiCaprio and Brie Larson, actor and actress. The year before that, Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything, and then Julianne Moore. And then the year before that, in 2014, Matthew McConaughey and Cate Blanchett.
Who cares? I don't care about any of these people. I mean, yeah, I don't care about what they won it for. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to hold weight at all. At all. I
wonder.
I never cared about the Oscars. I care about them even less now.
I wonder if we are in an age where we should collectively, as a society, do away with award ceremonies. Because what's the only thing I can see from benefiting from award ceremonies is that mafia mentality.
Yeah.
Is the studio, is the people who have put the money up anyways.
Yeah, it's like you have to be in the boys club in order to win the Oscar. It's not actually awarding it to people who are like new in the business and making a name for themselves. Right. And it's like that's where an Oscar would make sense, where it's like, okay, you got this actor, he played in this movie, and you're so surprised he killed it so well, and why not give this guy an Oscar and propel him into a career that makes sense? Instead, you get Matthew McConaughey. The dude is like, he's fine.
And again, he won that for Dallas Buyers Club. I mean,
great movie.
Great. He was great in that movie.
Yeah.
It was a great performance. But I mean, if he didn't win the Oscar, I wouldn't feel any differently about it.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that an award ceremony, especially like this, the Oscars, is needed in society anymore. I
just think the way that they're using it is incorrect, and I don't think it'll ever change because of that mobster mentality.
Yeah.
It's just,
and especially now with the way that Hollywood has really shifted, because of inclusion, because of the Me Too and Time's Up movement, because of these things coming to light specifically in Hollywood. Hollywood isn't this glittering gold pedestal anymore.
No, it's a giant political agenda.
Right.
It's gross.
And I don't think awarding it is right.
I mean, I don't give a fuck about the Oscars.
Exactly.
I hope it just nobody cares and it just disappears.
Yeah. I don't think it will, unfortunately, because of the money involved in it, but maybe the only thing that can happen is to kind of raise it to the ground and try again. Try a new path. Like you said, honor talent that's up and coming. Honor stuff that is worth the honor, not worth the money.
Yeah. Or not like who's been in the club the longest.
Right.
It just seems so popular kids table to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's it. The only way you're going to win prom king and prom queen is if you sit at the popular kids table.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I left that shit back in high school, and it's obviously dragging on into Hollywood. I just don't care. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And this could all fucking disappear tomorrow, and I really could give a shit.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So extra cursing on this one, but fuck you, Oscars. I really don't care. Fucking die.
Boo.
D-Man's Death Wish Update. Brought to you by Death Wish Coffee.
So before we begin, I just want to remind everybody to share the episode for a chance to win this mug. Reason why I bring it up in the update is because I said it earlier, there will be more coming in early April. So if you're waiting patiently to buy this mug again, that's when you'll see it again. But if you want it now,
we can't thank you guys enough for digging the mug too, because I mean, like, again, for our yearly mugs, we don't make 50,000 of them at one time. We make like a good chunk and hope that's going to last us for a couple months and then get to need to make some more. And that good chunk was gone. You guys loved this mug, so thank you.
Early April, it's coming back, but if you want it now, share the episode. Let us know you shared it. You can win this awesome mug. It doesn't have a number because that's how the yearly mugs run. And man, the glaze on this.
Yeah,
there's
like lava.
It's like 18 colors in this.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And the way it trips over the handle on this one, I really like that. So we'll sign that, get that out to you guys. But moving on. So we had a golden ticket for Valentine's Day recently. And unfortunately, it happened so quickly that we weren't able to get the mug to us in order to show you, but we got it now, and we want to show it to you. It's the first time I'd seen it.
We've seen on the internet, what we do is we do anywhere between 15 and 20 of these mugs, these golden ticket mugs, go out on the golden ticket day. But that goes out to hundreds of thousands of people. And with the Valentine's Day mugs, it literally went to 15 people that apparently don't use the internet. And that's fine. But they didn't, there was no photographic evidence.
Or maybe they just don't want to share. Maybe they don't want 18 people hitting them up trying to get that mug off of them.
Right.
You know, maybe they want it and they're just like, okay, I just want to keep it and I don't want to sell it and I don't want, 18 people hitting me up for offers, so I'm not going to post it. And that happens sometimes, and that's fine.
But we got one. So here it is. And if you remember, the Valentine's Day mugs were blood of my blood and bone of my bone, the red on red and the white on white there. And this is a very deep black on almost a grayish purple glaze on top of it. It's just dark as your soul. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, if you want it, share it. I want to see the set together in somebody's hands. It's so beautiful.
But yeah, like we said, we hadn't even seen one. We contacted Deneen and we're like, usually Deneen holds one back, in case stuff breaks or whatever. And this was that one, and we got it sent over here. We're actually working towards creating a kind of a moratorium of all of our golden ticket mugs, because why not? We're trying to keep at least one, together to get like a full set for, I don't know, maybe something fun down the road. Who knows? But we wanted to show you guys this. So yeah, share this around. It is number 2956 out of 6,000, and it exists. That was the golden ticket mug. It's real. It actually happened.
So let's talk about my favorite subject:
Bags.
So in 2016, this was the bag that everybody saw and everybody loved. This is a typical bag that you would see, but it's the one thing about this is that it's digitally printed, which is fine. It comes out, it looks great.
No, it looks good.
But there are limits to digital printing. Also, this is a hand-packed bag, and we wanted to move to something a little bit more industrious. So eventually in 2017, we moved to a quad seal, which we ended up thinking after we produced a little, hey, it doesn't quite look as good as the bag that we had before.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make some changes, and
it just, I like the aesthetic of it, but the material definitely, especially when you see them together, this material just looks cheaper.
Yeah.
And we want now that we're working very hard to get towards retail in this year, we want to be the bells of the ball on the shelf.
Also, we want to do that anyways. We want to provide you with the best product we possibly know how to. And now we know more. So Thomas and I have been working diligently on coming out with a newly designed bag, new dimensions, just kind of new artwork. And, we love the matte black on spot gloss look.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to achieve that with these two bags. Well, let me present to you our new bag.
There it is.
Look how beautiful that is.
That's really nice.
Now, this is not digitally printed. This is more of a traditional method. So everything pops out really nice on this.
Yeah, it really does.
And you can see the spot gloss on the logo, which comes out nicely. The dimensions of the bag are more like our original bag. So we're a lot happier with that. It sits on the shelf nice. It actually looks like you get a lot of coffee in there, so that looks nice. It ships well, but man, the colors on this bag just came out.
Oh, you even got spot gloss on the little
on the little mug on the side, and also on the warning on the back.
Oh yeah, nice.
And also on the ground label up top.
Yep, that's really nice.
So you see a few design changes here. We clearly labeled the grind up top, and that's because, like you mentioned before, we're on the retail shelves now, and sometimes the shelf you can't really see which grind it is if the grind is toward the bottom, so we labeled it on both sides of the bag, which looks beautiful. But also, I thought the back design came out really cool, where it just kind of lists everything. Once again, designed by the awesome Thomas Dragonetti. He did such a great job with this. But overall, I'm very stoked to bring this bag out. It's definitely our best looking bag yet, and you should be seeing it relatively soon. It started production, a few days ago, yesterday, day before, I don't know, Friday, something like that.
Yeah, so they'll start getting into heavy rotation as of now, basically.
Yeah, so if you get this bag and you're like, wow, this looks so good, where did this come from? Now you know why.
And feel free to post pictures. We love it when you guys post pictures of everything that you get. So,
and this bag is so photogenic.
It really is.
It looks so good. So we're finally getting the product that we feel that you guys deserve, at least as far as, the bag matches the coffee on the inside
Yeah.
now, which is really great. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, we wanted to share that news to you guys. So you know why you're seeing changes. It's because we're constantly trying to improve everything that we're doing here at Death Wish Coffee.
And I just wanted to say, too, guys, that we can't thank you enough for having such a successful release for our collaboration with the Dropkick Murphys and our St. Patrick's Day mug. Such a cool release, such a cool thing, being able to give money to the Cloud-a-Fund. And we're just stoked that you guys were as stoked about that, and because that means that hopefully in the future we'll do something else like that. You know, maybe with another charity or another band or something.
Yeah. First of all, we can't thank you enough for loving our product, like the mugs, but more importantly, we can't thank you enough for for supporting us in what we truly believe in, and you know, getting to provide to some of these charities, it feels really good, and it's really because of you guys. So just like I said, can't thank you enough.
Yeah. And you know, we've been giving you a lot of new stuff lately, and we want to keep some stuff secret, so I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is coming out at all. At all. I can't.
Top of Jeff's head.
Anything that's coming out.
Nothing.
So tune in next week for more awesome news from Death Wish Coffee.
Cheers.
And that's the show, guys. Once again, we're sorry we didn't do it in the beginning, but we'll obviously probably did it in the comments. But yeah, share this feed, comment shared. We're going to pick one of you commenters to win this Valhalla Java mug, and we're going to sign it and send it right out to you. It's one of our bigger mugs. We love it. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for sharing. Thanks so much for commenting. I hope you guys hate the Oscars as much as we do.
Yeah, seriously. And if you don't, learn to. You really should. You really should. I can say that pretty strongly.
One thing I didn't bring up actually in the in the show, but I just thought of now because when we were roasting the Oscars, one of the things Billy Crystal's the most known for is being a host of the Oscars. He hosted the Oscars like I think something like 6 times or something like that, and was like one of the most celebrated hosts.
Who hosted the Oscars this time?
Jimmy Kimmel. He's been. I think he hosted it the last 2 years, the last 3 years. Yeah. They need somebody innocuous that can deal with, you know, put out jokes, but deal with all the politics and everything.
So somebody fucking boring.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck you, Oscars! I'll say it again.
But once again, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. We'll have a brand new show for you next week, and tune in tomorrow for our interview, our number 2 with Wyclef Jean, where we talk about his brand new project that's going to change the game of music. It really is. And you can follow us on Instagram predominantly. I'm on Twitter, but if you go on over to Instagram, I'm at Jeff Wish Coffee,
and I am at Death Wish Dustin.
It's that easy. Please follow us. We do like to post a lot of stuff from the warehouse and some super special secrets and pictures of cats and dogs and things.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But once again, guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.